What's up, everyone? It's Siobhan again, and today we're going to be talking about no money down deals. And the reason why I did air quotes was because I feel when people talk about no money down deals, it's a bit misleading. I'm going to explain why. No money down means that you're not having to put down the huge deposit that you would normally put down when you are buying a property. Okay. And there's various different ways that you can go about doing this. You can use some seller financing, or you can leverage someone else's money to use for the deposit. So there's various different ways that you can go about doing it. But ultimately, I think this term is generally associated with things like lease options and rent to rent and those kinds of strategies there. But you still need to then fund the refurb, which, by the way, shouldn't be as massive refurb as would buying a property which is like below market value and it's dilapidated and it needs to be gutted. But that's another conversation for another day. You still need to invest some funds to, like, for example, put furniture if it's going to be an HMO, put a fridge, various other things as well. I'm trying to talk about this really broadly so that I can actually get into the subject of no money down. So, one way that you can have a no money down deal is by having some seller financing. Seller financing, if you didn't catch what I said the first time. And this is essentially when the vendor becomes your bank. So you may have a conversation with the seller and you may identify that they're not in a rush to sell their property. Okay, through that conversation that you have with the seller. And as you've built rapport and you've had a conversation with them, you negotiate a deal whereby you pay them a certain amount of money, perhaps for a year, and then after that year, you then buy the property. Okay, this is what is called a lease option. Okay, so the vendor is financing you. You are providing that vendor with some money, guaranteed income for a certain period of time, and then at the end of it, you buy that property or you pay the balance. You could also, that you can get really creative with that, as I'm sure some of you light bulbs are clicking already. If that vendor happens to be somebody who is a landlord but doesn't want to do the work, you can then become partners with that property where you do the work, but the relationship becomes a bit more long term. And then also you've got sellers who potentially don't want to sell the house, but they don't want to do the work. And that would be more like your rent to rent type arrangement where you still giving them guaranteed rent every single month, but then this is like long period of time, and you review it after a certain period of time to see whether it's something that you want to continue with or whether it's something that you then the seller then wants to sell to you, or you don't want to continue, or they don't want to continue, you part ways. Okay, so those are like examples, but like I said, when it comes to your lease options for an HMO or your rent to rent options for an HMO, you've still got to invest a certain amount of money into the refurb for those properties to bring them up to standard. So for example, if you have spoken to a homeowner who was living in the property, but now they want to enter a rent to rent agreement with you, and the property has only been fit for a single dwelling, there's certain things that you're going to have to do in that house to make sure that it meets the HMO requirements, and that's going to require investment. So at that point, you have to make the decision as to whether you use your own money to do that, or whether you use somebody else's money to do that. And so I think I just wanted to raise these points with you really, because I think these are the things that are left out in other videos that are and other people who teach about this no money down concept, that money still does have to be exchanged. Money is still involved, even with lease option agreements, for example. A solicitor gets involved to write what's called a heads of terms, which is basically the contract or the agreement between you and the homeowner. Well, the solicitor ain't going to do that for free. And usually you exchange a sum of money. It can be £1, it can be as little as £1, but you usually exchange a sum of money in that contract as well. So I just wanted to point that out to people. I don't want people to have unrealistic expectations of this no money down concept. Yes, it is real, and yes, you can get infinite return on investment if you are leveraging other people's money. Absolutely, it can work, but money does still have to be exchanged. Money is still involved. And so I just wanted to put that out there. Hope everyone's clear on that. If you're not, reach out to me. You should have our email address, and I am more than happy to go through it with you in more detail. Until tomorrow, enjoy your day, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.